Do you want your very own pair of Yoda ears? Or maybe just some ears that are for a fantasy-based character? Then here is the tutorial and free downloadable pattern just for you. Easy it is. What you'll need: my free downloadable pattern, the link for which is in the description. Scissors, foam, I'm using 10mm foam, marker, a Stanley knife, foam sculpt or foam clay, glue, for ease I used hot glue, headband, a Dremel, paintbrushes, a primer, I just used PVA glue, paint, acrylic spray and an optional heat gun. Let's begin. First things first, measure out the free downloadable pattern printout to ensure that the print checkbox measures 5cm by 5cm. Cut out whichever ear shape you need. There is a slight difference between Yoda and Baby Yoda, as the child has a bit more ear flap space. Yes, that is the correct terminology for sure. Anywho, grab your pattern, foam and your marker. Go ahead and trace out the pattern onto the foam. Next, use your Stanley knife to cut the shapes out. At this stage, you will want to get your foam as flat as possible. My foam was rolled up, so it had a bit of a curve, so I blasted it with a heat gun for a little bit to flatten it out. Now it's time to add the cartilage to your ears, so grab your foam clay. Let's start with Baby Yoda. For the child, you'll need to add some thick cartilage along the top, with the thickest part being closest to the head, tapering out to the point. Then there's a little extra cartilage on a part of the bottom. However, I'm actually wanting to make Yoda, so let's move forward using those ones. Yoda is old, which means he has less fleshy parts and more cartilage. So Yoda has cartilage all around the edges. Once again, I'm doing the thickest closest to the head and tapers out to the point. Then give that 24 hours to dry. If your foam clay doesn't stick solidly to the foam, you may need help from some glue. You can see that's exactly what I did here, running a thin layer of hot glue all around the outside and sticking the two layers together. Don't use too much glue though, just enough to stick it together. Now to fill in any gaps around the outside. Grab some foam clay, warm it up nicely in your hands so it's very malleable, and use it like putty fill. Push it in and smooth it all over with your fingers. Don't worry if it isn't the prettiest at this point, because the next step is dremeling. Use your Dremel to shape the ears mostly around the back so that it forms a nice dome shape. And also, this is your chance to smooth out any of those imperfections from the last step. Now for some quick optional shaping. With the heat gun, heat the ears all over and then curl the points of the ears over slightly. Fun fact, heating the foam also provides a very basic type of priming. As a side note, if you see any imperfections at this point, fill it in with some foam clay or take it off with a Dremel. On to priming! I used PVA glue. I like PVA glue on small sections of foam like these ears because it's cheap, easily accessible, and dries with a bit of rigidity. However, please prime however you like. Moving on to the final stage, painting. Off camera, I decided to spray paint the ears white so that I had a good base for painting. I began by painting the entirety of the ears in light green, as I like to paint from the medium to light colour and build it up from there. As I was using a pretty thin paint, I painted these back and front 4 times. Good news, it dried really quickly. With that done, it was on to the fun part of adding details and depth to the ears. I started by adding a mottled effect to tie in some of the yellow tinges that Yoda has. So I dry brushed on at random some yellow oxide. Next was the shadows, so I used some deep green and got into the cartilage cracks and then dry brushed that out. I also applied the same principle to the part closest to the head. I also painted the headband in the same deep green. And finally, I added a little bit of light pink near the head. Side note, Baby Yoda would have a lot more pink in their ears. With the painting all complete, the last thing to do was seal it all, so I took it outside and sprayed it with some clear acrylic in satin finish. And the very last step, gluing it all together. Apply a very healthy amount of hot glue or your glue of choice to the ears and glue them right on the base of the headband. This is actually the perfect positioning for them, and as a bonus, you know it's going to be even on both sides. And with that, your ears are now ready to wear. And of course, you can always modify the pattern to change the shape into gremlin ears or Dobby ears, or really any sort of fantasy ears that you want to create. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial and found it easy to follow. For more tutorials and other cosplay related videos, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to ring the bell. May the Force be with you.